Food delivery exposed something nobody expected. Not bad drivers, not bad food. Bad logic. These are 69 real complaints from customers who ordered exactly what they asked for and still demanded refunds. Melted, frozen, soggy, too fast, too quiet, emotionally distant. This isn't about food. It's about how some people think the world should work. 1. Let's start with a classic case of physics denial. A customer left a scathing 1-star review because their milkshake arrived melted. Sounds reasonable, right? Until you realize they ordered it from a restaurant 45 minutes away during a heat wave in Phoenix. Apparently, they expected the driver to have a portable industrial freezer in the passenger seat. The complaint literally said the driver should have driven faster to beat the sun, which creates a whole new set of legal problems. 2. There is a special place in customer service hell for people who order something called the Diablo Burger and then complain it is spicy. One genius demanded a full refund because the jalapenos burned his tongue. He admitted the menu had 3 chili pepper icons next to the item, but he assumed that was just for decoration. He actually wrote that the restaurant assaulted his taste buds and threatened to sue for emotional distress caused by capsaicin. 3. You would think an uncut pizza is a minor inconvenience, easily solved by a kitchen knife, but for one lady, it was the end of the world. She called the pizza place screaming that they had ruined her child's birthday party because the pepperoni pie arrived whole. She claimed she did not own a knife, which raises some serious questions about how she survives as an adult, and demanded the driver come back to slice it for her. 4. We all forget things, but this customer took zero accountability. He filed a report stating the dasher stole his food. The proof photo showed the bag clearly sitting on a porch. The problem? It was the customer's old apartment from 2 years ago. He had not updated his address in the app, yet somehow this was the driver's fault for not using telepathy to know he had moved across town. He even demanded the driver go retrieve the cold tacos from the confused new tenants. 5. Usually, getting free stuff is a cause for celebration, but not for this guy. He ordered a 10-piece nugget meal and received 12 nuggets by mistake. Instead of enjoying the bonus chicken, he called the store to complain that this messed up his calorie counting for the week. He was genuinely angry that the restaurant was trying to sabotage his diet. Imagine being the manager trying to keep a straight face while apologizing for being too generous. 6. A customer selected the leave at door option during a torrential downpour, then was shocked to find nature doing its thing. She left a furious review because the paper bag was damp. The driver had followed instructions perfectly, placed it on the mat, and snapped the photo. She claimed the restaurant should use waterproof, hermetically sealed containers for every order just in case it rains. Next time, maybe just answer the door or buy a plastic bin. 7. Delivery instructions are for gate codes, not for bypassing the payment screen. A driver got a 1-star rating because he didn't bring the extra large soda and side of ranch the customer requested in the drop-off notes. The customer didn't actually pay for these items or add them to the cart. They just typed, "Bring me a Coke," in the section meant for apartment numbers. When the driver explained he can't just rob the restaurant, the customer called him lazy. 8. Sometimes people just do not understand how food works anatomically. A seafood place received a refund request because the fried shrimp had tails on them. The customer called it a choking hazard and accused the chef of being negligent. They wanted the restaurant to pay for their dental bill because they bit directly into the hardtail. Apparently, the concept of holding the shrimp by the tail to eat it was too advanced for this particular diner. 9. This complaint is a classic case of shooting the messenger. A woman reported a driver for rude behavior because he rang the doorbell. There were no instructions to not ring the bell, and the app explicitly told him to hand it to the customer. Her reasoning? The doorbell woke up her dogs, which woke up her baby, which caused her a migraine. She essentially wanted the driver fired for not knowing the sleep schedule of her entire household. 10. You have to wonder if some people have ever eaten food before. A high-end sushi spot got a call from a man furious that his spicy tuna roll arrived cold. He was screaming that he pays good money for hot food and expected the driver to use a thermal bag. The manager had to slowly explain that if his raw fish arrived steaming hot, he would probably spend the next 3 days in the hospital with severe food poisoning. 11. We have heard of complaints about melted ice cream, but this customer went in the completely opposite direction. They filed a formal grievance against a Dairy Queen because their blizzard was too frozen. They were genuinely upset that they could not drink it through a straw immediately upon delivery. They claimed the driver must have used dry ice to spite them. Apparently, the concept of waiting 3 minutes for physics to happen was just too much to ask. 12. A customer selected contactless delivery, wrote, "Do not knock or ring bell" in the notes, and requested the food be left behind a pillar. The driver did exactly that. Then, the customer left a 1-star review claiming the driver lacked basic social skills because they didn't wave at the window or announce their presence. They were mad that the contactless delivery was actually contactless. How do you even argue with that logic? 13. Brand loyalty is a real thing, but this is taking it too far. A man ordered a burger from Wendy's and then called the store in a rage because it didn't taste like a Big Mac. He wasn't confused about where he ordered from. He knew it was Wendy's. He just felt their kitchen staff should know how to replicate the McDonald's special sauce if requested in the notes. When the manager explained copyright laws, the customer hung up. 14. Advertising works, mostly by lying to us, but most adults understand that. One customer, however, demanded a full refund because his taco did not look exactly like the one in the Super Bowl commercial. He sent side-by-side photos measuring the cheese distribution and the angle of the lettuce leaf. He accused the fast food chain of false advertising and demanded the driver return to the store to have the line cook style it properly. 15. If you order something called steak tartare, you should probably know what it is. A fancy bistro got a furious email from a customer claiming they were trying to poison him because the meat arrived raw. He attached photos of the perfectly prepared dish, screaming about health code violations. The chef had to explain that he literally ordered raw beef with an egg on top. What exactly did you think you were buying? 16. The sealed bag paradox is the bane of every delivery driver's existence. A customer reported a driver for not checking that her extra ranch was in the bag. The catch? The bag was stapled shut with tamper-evident stickers. If the driver opens it to check, he gets fired for tampering with food. If he doesn't, he gets yelled at for missing sauce. The customer simply replied that he should have used X-ray vision. 17. Usually, speed is a good thing, but not for this guy. He filed a complaint stating the delivery arrived too fast. He had ordered dinner while leaving work, expecting it to take an hour, but the driver showed up in 20 minutes. Since nobody was home, the food sat on the porch for half an hour. He blamed the driver for being too efficient and ruining his hot meal by not driving slower or circling the block a few times. 18. We have all made questionable decisions after a few drinks, but usually, we own up to them. A woman reported a charge as fraudulent, claiming she never ordered $50 worth of Taco Bell at 3 a.m. The app support checked the GPS, the photo of the food at her door, and the login time. It turned out she did order it, ate it, passed out, and simply forgot. At what point do you blame yourself? 19. Some people treat the customization menu like a logic puzzle they are trying to lose. A customer ordered a cheeseburger but selected no bun, no meat, no pickles, and no onions in the app, presumably thinking they were being clever or just clicking buttons. They received a slice of cheese in a wrapper. They then filed a complaint that the restaurant ripped them off by sending exactly what they ordered. 20. You cannot control nature, but you can definitely blame a gig worker for it. A driver dropped off a sandwich, took the photo, and left. 10 minutes later, the customer called screaming because a neighborhood squirrel had stolen the bag from the porch. She demanded the driver come back and either replace the sandwich or, and I am not kidding, track down the squirrel. She felt the driver should have stood guard until she decided to open the door. 21. The rivalry between soda brands is intense, but this is ridiculous. A customer ordered a large cola from a restaurant that only serves Pepsi products. When the cup arrived and it wasn't Coca-Cola, he demanded the driver go to a gas station and buy him the correct soda out of his own pocket. He claimed the menu saying fountain drink was a deceptive trap designed to force inferior soda on the population. 22. A guy in California got incredibly angry because his order didn't include plastic forks and napkins. The state actually has a law that restaurants cannot give you single-use plastic unless you specifically ask for it, which he didn't. He left a scathing review accusing the driver of stealing his utensils to sell on the black market. Seriously, who tries to fence plastic forks? 23. If you live in a gated community, you hold the keys to the castle. A driver got stuck at the gate because the customer refused to give the access code, claiming it was private information. They told the driver to just tailgate someone else in, or figure it out. When the driver couldn't break federal trespassing laws to deliver a burrito, the customer marked the order as never arrived. How do you even deal with that level of entitlement? 24. Gravity is a law, not a suggestion, but this customer tried to appeal the verdict. They ordered a deep dish pizza with double cheese, extra sauce, and triple pepperoni, which is basically a molten soup in a bread bowl. When it arrived, the toppings had shifted slightly because the driver had to turn a corner. The customer demanded a refund, claiming the driver must have been drifting like he was in an action movie. In reality, the structural integrity of that pizza was doomed the moment they clicked extra sauce. It is like trying to transport a waterbed without it wobbling. It is simply not going to happen. 25. There is a statute of limitations on enjoying a fountain drink, and it is definitely less than 3 hours. One guy reported his driver for delivering watered-down garbage because his Coke tasted flat. The GPS log showed the driver dropped it off at noon, but the customer didn't pick it up until 3 p.m. because he was in the middle of a gaming session. He genuinely expected the ice to stay suspended in a state of cryogenic stasis just for him. At what point do you blame yourself? 26. You know the phrase, "the customer is always right"? It does not apply when the customer admits to eating the evidence. A woman filed a claim stating her meal was never delivered. When support showed her the photo of the empty wrapper on her table that she accidentally uploaded, she pivoted. She claimed that because the burger didn't make her full, the contract of providing a meal hadn't been fulfilled. She essentially treated the delivery app like an all-you-can-eat buffet where you can just claim dissatisfaction to get seconds. 27. Living in a high-security building is great for safety, but terrible for laziness. A tenant in a luxury high-rise screamed at a driver for not bringing the food to his door on the 40th floor. The elevator required a key fob, which the customer refused to bring down, and the concierge was on a break. The customer told the driver to wait for someone else to live there and sneak in behind them, creating a hostage situation over a lukewarm burrito. He expected the driver to commit a security breach just to avoid putting on flip-flops. 28. Steak preferences are personal, but definitions are universal. A customer ordered a $60 ribeye medium rare, and then flew into a rage because it was pink in the middle. They left a 1-star review calling the chef an amateur and the driver an accomplice to food poisoning. They demanded it be brown all the way through but still juicy, which is chemically impossible. They basically wanted a well-done steak that defied the laws of thermodynamics. How do you even argue with that? 29. Usually, people order curry because they want flavorful food, but this lady was shocked by the consequences. She complained that the delivery driver made her apartment smell weird by bringing the food she ordered inside. She wasn't saying the driver smelled. She was mad that the vindaloo she paid for had an aroma. She actually asked if the driver had a way to transport the food in a vacuum-sealed lead box so the smell wouldn't escape until she was ready. She wanted the flavor without the sensory experience. 30. One customer went nuclear because the driver left the food at number 304 instead of 302. It sounds like a valid complaint until you look at the notes where the customer typed 304 by mistake. When the driver pointed out the food was sitting on the neighbor's mat literally 10 feet away, the customer refused to retrieve it. They demanded the driver drive back, walk the 10 feet, and move the bag, claiming it was the principle of the thing. They let $20 of sushi rot rather than walk 3 steps to the left. 31. A customer in Minnesota ordered a single hot coffee during a polar vortex where temperatures were 20 degrees below zero. Even with a thermal bag, that cup was fighting a losing battle against nature. The customer left a furious review stating the coffee was only warm, not piping hot. They blamed the driver for not having a heated customized vehicle dedicated solely to their latte. When you order a liquid in sub-zero weather, the atmosphere is going to win. What did you think was going to happen? 32. We are moving toward a greener future, but some people are kicking and screaming the whole way. A customer reported an entire order as damaged because the coffee shop gave them a sippy cup lid instead of a plastic straw. They claimed it was impossible to drink the beverage without spilling it all over themselves, painting a picture of a toddler who hasn't mastered motor skills yet. They wanted a full refund on 3 drinks because they had to tilt their head back slightly to consume them. 33. Tracking apps are a blessing and a curse because they turn regular people into surveillance agents. One guy watched the little car icon on his screen and called the driver immediately because he took a left turn instead of a right. The driver was literally avoiding a construction zone, but the customer accused him of joyriding with his nuggets. He spent 5 minutes screaming that he knew the city better than the GPS, demanding the driver reverse into traffic to take the correct route. It is the micromanagement equivalent of standing over a plumber and telling him how to use a wrench. 34. This one is just painful to think about. A driver picked up an order from a pet supply store, specifically several cans of high-end wet cat food. The customer met him at the door, looked in the bag, and asked, "Where is my dinner?" It turns out the customer saw salmon pâté on the app and assumed it was a new French bistro, not Purina. Instead of admitting the mistake, they filed a complaint that the driver switched their gourmet meal for cat chow. 35. The cash tip under the mat note is the oldest trick in the book, and drivers know it is a lie 99% of the time. But one customer took it to a new level. When the driver checked and found nothing, the customer came out and accused the driver of stealing the invisible money. They tried to extort free food by threatening to report the driver for theft of a tip that never existed. It takes a special kind of audacity to accuse someone of stealing imaginary currency. 36. A customer ordered a picnic lunch to a massive public park on a Saturday but provided 0 landmarks. The drop-off note just said, "I am by the big tree." When the driver couldn't locate this specific tree among the 3,000 others in the arboretum, the customer left a scathing review calling him directionally challenged. They expected the driver to wander the grounds like a wilderness explorer, shouting their name until they emerged from the bushes. When the driver finally left the food at the park entrance, the customer claimed it was an act of aggression. 37. Tamper-proof stickers are designed to keep your food safe, but for one customer, they were an insurmountable fortress. She requested a refund for her entire meal because the safety seal on her drink was too sticky. She claimed she broke a nail trying to peel it off and was so traumatized by the exertion that she couldn't enjoy her burger. She actually wanted the restaurant to pay for a manicure because she lost a battle with a piece of tape. How do you even argue with that? 38. Extortion is a strong word, but it fits this scenario perfectly. A customer put a note in the delivery instructions saying, "Stop at the gas station and buy me a pack of smokes, or I will rate you 1 star." When the driver refused to illegally purchase age-restricted products with their own money, the customer followed through on the threat. They reported the food as mishandled, simply because the driver wouldn't act as their personal contraband smuggler. The app support had to step in and ban the customer for holding their rating hostage. 39. We are all creatures of habit, but you have to update your settings. A guy ordered lunch to his office address on a Sunday when the building was locked and empty. The driver sent a photo of the bag sitting by the glass doors of the deserted lobby. The customer then filed a complaint that the driver should have known he was at home because it was the weekend. He expected the app to track his personal location rather than the address he explicitly typed in, blaming the driver for lacking psychic intuition. 40. There are certain foods that simply do not travel well, and nachos are at the top of that list. A customer ordered Super Supreme nachos loaded with salsa, sour cream, and guacamole, then complained 30 minutes later that the chips were soggy. They accused the restaurant of using defective tortillas. It is simple moisture migration. If you pile wet ingredients onto dry corn chips and put them in a steam trapping box, you're ordering soup, not a snack. What did you think was going to happen? 41. Understanding how coupons work is a basic life skill that this customer completely missed. They wrote a discount code in the delivery instructions box for the driver, expecting the driver to somehow refund them $5 in cash upon arrival. When the driver explained he doesn't carry a cash register or have access to the restaurant's billing system, the customer accused him of pocketing the discount. They treated the delivery notes like a magic spell that turns text into money and called the police non-emergency line to report a theft. 42. One customer ordered a large iced coffee and then reported the item as incorrect because there was too much ice. They weren't mad that the cup wasn't full. They were mad that the ice took up volume where liquid could have been. They sent a photo of the ice cubes in the sink as evidence of the scam. They essentially wanted a quart of pure caffeine concentrate for the price of a standard latte, and felt personally victimized by the concept of displacement. They demanded the driver return with a cup of just liquid. 43. We all love our pets, but you cannot blame the delivery guy for your dog's lack of discipline. A driver left the food on the porch as requested. Moments later, the customer's unleashed Labrador barreled through the screen door and devoured the family dinner. The customer filed a complaint against the driver for placing the food within reach of the animal. They genuinely believed the driver should have mounted the bag to the ceiling or fought off the dog like a gladiator to protect the burrito. 44. Geography is hard, but knowing which state you live in should be mandatory. A woman in Springfield, Illinois, ordered 2 large pepperoni pizzas from a highly rated place called Joe's Pizza. The problem was, she ordered from the Joe's Pizza in Springfield, Missouri. She called the store screaming after an hour, only to find out her dinner was sitting on a counter 400 miles away. She still demanded the driver in Missouri bring it to her because the app shouldn't let me make mistakes. 45. A customer ordered a DIY pizza kit from a trendy artisan spot, the kind that comes with raw dough and toppings for you to bake at home with your kids. They left a 1-star review because the pizza arrived raw. They wrote a furious paragraph about how they don't pay delivery fees to cook their own dinner, completely ignoring the product description, the photo of the kit, and the giant letters on the box that said "Cook at Home." They wanted a refund for their own illiteracy and laziness. 46. Some people treat the special instructions box like a request line for a DJ. A driver received a 1-star rating because he didn't draw a wizard fighting a dragon on the box. The customer was a grown man who was genuinely disappointed that the busy restaurant staff and the rushing driver didn't have time to create custom art for his amusement. He claimed the lack of a doodle ruined the vibe of his burger. Imagine having that much free time to be upset about cardboard art. 47. A customer ordered from a popular seafood chain and was outraged that her fish and chips were too greasy. It is literally food battered in flour and submerged in boiling oil. Grease is the primary ingredient. She demanded a refund because the meal wasn't light and healthy, as she had imagined it would be. It is like ordering a bucket of water and complaining that it is wet. She wanted the taste of deep-fried comfort food with the nutritional profile of a kale salad. 48. The concept of a ghost kitchen confuses many, but this reaction was extreme. A customer ordered wings from a place called Superfly Wings on the app. When the driver arrived, the GPS showed it was actually a Chuck E. Cheese. The customer refused to accept the food, claiming they were being catfished by a mouse. They were convinced the driver had pulled a bait and switch, unaware that many chain restaurants run multiple virtual brands out of the same kitchen to sell more food. 49. We have all had those moments where we can't find our keys, but this customer lost an entire side dish. They called the restaurant in a rage, claiming their fries were missing from the combo meal box. The manager asked if they had checked the bottom compartment of the packaging, which is designed specifically to hold sides. There was a long silence on the phone, followed by a click. The customer had thrown the entire box in the trash without looking underneath the burger. They literally garbage-picked their own dinner rather than admit they were wrong. 50. Delivery drivers are many things, but they are not equipped with military-grade night vision goggles. A customer filed a complaint that the drop-off photo was too dark, and they couldn't see where the food was placed. The issue: the customer had turned off every single light on their property, creating a pitch-black void on their front porch. They expected the driver to set up a professional lighting rig at 9 p.m. to capture the aesthetic of their burrito bag. If you want a studio-quality photo, maybe flip the porch switch on. 51. Geometry is a subject most of us passed in middle school, but this customer was struggling. They ordered a large pizza from a chain known for its square Detroit-style pies. When it arrived, they left a furious review stating that the pizza was defective because it had corners. They claimed square slices have less area than triangular ones, which is mathematically incorrect, and accused the restaurant of cutting corners, both literally and figuratively. What did you think was going to happen when you ordered from a place with square in the name? 52. The GPS tracker in delivery apps turns normal people into paranoid detectives. One customer watched their driver stop for 5 minutes on the way to their house and immediately filed a report that the driver was eating their food. The driver was actually dropping off a second order for another customer, which is a standard feature of the app. The customer refused to believe it, claiming the pause on the map was suspiciously long for a drop-off and demanded the driver undergo a lie detector test. 53. Usually, getting your food early is a bonus, but for this person, it was a violation of their schedule. They placed an order while driving home from work, timing it to arrive exactly when they pulled into the driveway. Traffic was light, so the driver beat them there by 10 minutes. The customer complained that the food sitting outside for 600 seconds ruined the freshness and blamed the driver for being too efficient. They essentially wanted the driver to circle the block until the customer's car appeared, like a personal valet service. 54. Taking personal responsibility is hard, especially when you are hungry. A customer ordered a family feast platter intended for 4 people, ate the entire thing by themselves, and then requested a refund. Their reasoning? The restaurant did not provide a warning label about how delicious and addictive the food was. They claimed the large portion size was a trap designed to make them break their diet, and therefore the restaurant was liable for their lack of self-control. 55. Relationship drama should never involve a third-party contractor carrying a pepperoni pizza. A guy ordered food to be delivered to his ex-girlfriend's house as a peace offering after a breakup. When she slammed the door in the driver's face and refused the order, the guy filed a complaint against the driver. He was angry that the driver didn't try harder to convince her to take the pizza. He basically wanted the delivery guy to act as a relationship counselor and a process server for the price of a $5 tip. 56. A customer in a snowy city was outraged that the driver walked on their snow-covered driveway to deliver the food. They hadn't shoveled the path, so the driver had no choice but to trample the pristine white powder. The customer complained that the footprints ruined the aesthetic of their front yard, and demanded the delivery service pay for a landscaping crew to smooth it back over. They expected the driver to either levitate to the front door or launch the food from the street with a t-shirt cannon. 57. Fortune cookies are meant to be fun little vague predictions, not legally binding contracts. A customer called a Chinese restaurant screaming because their fortune said, "You will come into great wealth soon," and they hadn't won the lottery yet. They weren't joking. They left a 1-star review for the delivery driver, claiming he brought them a defective prophecy. They seemed to genuinely believe the delivery fee included a guarantee of financial success and that the driver was responsible for their continued bad luck. 58. Physics is the enemy of the tamper-evident sticker. A customer reported a driver for opening their food because the sticker on the hot pasta container had popped open. The manager explained that the steam from the boiling hot marinara sauce melts the adhesive. It happens all the time. The customer refused to listen, insisting the driver must have peeled it back to smell the pasta. They wanted a forensic analysis of the glue rather than accepting that heat makes tape less sticky. How do you even argue with that? 59. Privacy boundaries do not exist for some people. A woman was in the shower when her food arrived. The driver rang the bell, waited, texted, and finally left the food at the door as per protocol. She filed a complaint stating the driver was lazy for not trying the handle and bringing the food inside to the kitchen table. She actually argued that a stranger should have entered her unlocked home while she was vulnerable in the bathroom just to save her a walk to the front door. 60. If you order boneless wings, you are essentially ordering high-quality chicken nuggets, and we all know this. But one customer felt deceived. They filed a fraud claim against a sports bar, stating they were sold fake chicken parts because the wings had no bones in them. They argued that anatomically, a wing must have a bone, and therefore they were victims of false advertising. While they are technically correct about bird anatomy, suing a sports bar over culinary terminology is a whole new level of petty. 61. A customer ordered a custom ice cream cake for an outdoor birthday party in the middle of July. They provided the address for a public park gazebo, but didn't arrive until 20 minutes after the driver dropped it off. When they finally opened the box, they found a puddle of soup with sprinkles on top. They filed a claim stating the driver should have waited in the shade or brought a portable generator and a freezer. They genuinely believed the driver was responsible for battling the sun on their behalf. 62. Domestic disputes are awkward enough without involving a gig worker. A man screamed at a driver for delivering a large pepperoni pizza he claimed he never ordered, accusing the driver of having the wrong house. In the middle of the argument, his wife walked out and admitted she ordered it because she was tired of his cooking. The man didn't apologize to the driver. Instead, he filed a complaint that the app caused marital discord by allowing his wife to order food without his permission. 63. Reading comprehension is a dying art, especially when it comes to take-and-bake pizzerias. A customer ordered 3 large pizzas from a place whose entire business model is selling raw pizzas you cook at home. They left a furious 1-star review because the pizzas arrived cold and uncooked. They accused the restaurant of forgetting to put them in the oven, completely missing the giant red letters on the box and the store signage. They basically wanted a refund because they had to turn a dial on their own stove. 64. We all love a good surprise party, but your delivery driver is not in on the plan. A customer ordered 50 wings for a surprise birthday bash and put "Don't ring doorbell" in the notes. The driver knocked softly instead. The dogs barked, the surprise guest looked out the window, and the secret was out. The customer demanded a refund for the entire party. Food, decorations, everything, claiming the driver ruined the vibe. They expected the driver to possess the stealth skills of a ninja just to deliver some chicken. 65. Some people treat fast food like a chemistry experiment. A guy filed a complaint because his quarter-pounder patty weighed exactly 3.9 ounces when he put it on his kitchen scale. He argued that he was defrauded out of zero point 0.1 ounces of beef and threatened to report the chain to the Better Business Bureau for false weights and measures. He spent more money on the electricity to power the scale than the value of the missing meat crumb. How do you even argue with that level of petty? 66. A customer with a severe peanut allergy ordered a peanut butter cup blast from an ice cream shop. In the special instructions, they wrote in all caps, "Severe allergy, sub peanut butter for caramel, clean blender." The restaurant canceled the order immediately for safety reasons. The customer then reported the store for discrimination, claiming they had a right to the smoothie regardless of the ingredients. They wanted the shop to fundamentally change a menu item named after the thing that could kill them. 67. There is lazy, and then there is ordering delivery to a parking spot. A customer was sitting in her car in the parking lot of a busy fast food joint. The drive-through line was long, so she ordered delivery to Spot 4 on the app, expecting the driver to skip the line, pick up the food, and walk it to her window. When the driver got stuck in the same line she was trying to avoid, she complained about the wait time. She tried to hack the system and ended up paying a delivery fee to eat food 10 feet from the kitchen. 68. A driver dropped off a meal, smiled, said, "Here you go," and walked away. The customer left a negative review stating the driver was emotionally distant. They were upset that the driver didn't say, "Have a wonderful evening and enjoy your meal," which apparently was their preferred sign-off. They claimed the interaction felt transactional, which is exactly what it is. You pay money, they bring food. They wanted a best friend, not a courier. What did you think was going to happen? 69. To finish it off, we have the ultimate Inception delivery. A group of teenagers sat down at a table inside a busy restaurant, scanned the menu, and realized they didn't want to wait for a waiter. They opened the delivery app and ordered food to the restaurant's address, putting Table 12 in the notes. When the driver walked in, picked up the bag from the counter, and walked it over to their table, they complained about having to pay the delivery fee and tip. They literally paid an extra $15 just to avoid making eye contact with a server. You've now seen 69 complaints. And here's the real question. Which one made you immediately think, "I know someone exactly like this"? Not the worst one, not the funniest one, the one that reminded you of a real person. Drop the number in the comments and describe them in one sentence. And if more than one felt uncomfortably familiar, you already know why you should subscribe.